It was February 10th, 2026. Montecito. 3:46 in the morning, on the dot. Under the faint glow of security floods, a convoy of armored vehicles slipped out the back exit of the Sussexes' $14.65 million mansion. Inside those bulletproof vans, years of royal keepsakes, locked boxes of legal papers, and high-priority assets. They weren't just moving house. This was a tactical withdrawal. They knew time was up not only for their life in the States, but for Harry's status as a prince. Meanwhile, across the pond in London, a courier dropped a package on the king's desk at Sandringham. The label read, "Urgent. Operation Dual Strike." It contained two distinct mandates, one for Henry Charles Albert David, the second for Andrew Albert Christian Edward. King Charles III had signed both. The royal seal made it official. No going back. This wasn't a practice run. It was Judgment Day for the monarchy. We're looking at the most aggressive power grab the crown has seen in 80 years. It all started at 8 p.m. GMT. On February 9th, after a 42-minute private meeting with top advisors and the Privy Council head, the king hit the switch on the Royal Stability Protocol. He cited two major dangers to the crown. First, the Sussexes were hurting the brand financially. Second, Prince Andrew was toxic to their reputation, especially while he was still squatting at Royal Lodge. Charles decided to wipe the slate clean. He didn't just banish them, he erased them completely. A top insider claims, the king said, "We won't be blackmailed by people monetizing their titles or using grief as a shield. Family ties don't excuse bad behavior. The media is going to focus on the personal tragedy, but this isn't some soap opera. It's a cold, hard power play designed to secure the throne for William and Catherine down the line." Charles cut the emotional cord, even ignoring the late Queen's wish to look after Andrew. He picked the crown over his own flesh and blood. Insiders at Clarence House say they drew this up back in November 2025. They waited for the perfect storm to pull the trigger. Reason 1. Harry used a shell company to leverage his Montecito home. Reason 2. Andrew wouldn't leave Royal Lodge quietly. And finally, William and Catherine are more popular than ever. That gave Charles the public support he needed to make a move. So the order came down. Oust Harry in the public eye, then legally evict Andrew. January 28th, 2026. Auditors found proof Harry was trading on his royal status to secure a loan. It was a $4.2 million bridge loan. Charles called it the final straw. Fast forward to January 31st, 4:12 in the morning. Security teams at Riven Rock started a midnight evac. They spent 2 hours loading a dozen high-security crates to dodge federal liens or foreclosure. February 1st. Princess Anne locked down every UK family trust connected to Harry and Meghan. Catherine signed paperwork to protect the Duchy of Cornwall assets from anyone living overseas. February 6th. Private polls showed 74% of the public backed William and Catherine. We haven't seen numbers like that since the 80s. Then came February 9th, 8 p.m. The king initiated the protocol. February 10th, 6 a.m. A diplomatic courier rushed a letter to Los Angeles titled Erasure Initiation. Harry and Meghan had 72 hours to cease all commercial activity and clarify their residency. The penalty for refusal? Being cut from the lineage permanently on March 31st. Selling the house looks like downsizing on the surface, but leaked documents tell a much grimmer story. They were burning $8,200 a day just on security and operations. That's nearly $3 million a year. They owed $780,000 in back taxes and upkeep, plus morality clauses froze another $6.4 million in production fees. On top of that, a $4.2 million loan from Blue Magnolia LLC was due in April. Throw in the immigration review of Harry's visa, and it's obvious why they're running. A former royal attorney put it simply, they aren't leaving by choice. They are running from the crown and U.S. authorities at the same time. Everything is crumbling. Meanwhile, the public reaction has been huge. In just 12 hours, positive engagement on the palace's social media jumped 37%. Even the Prime Minister chimed in, praising the monarchy for showing strong, principled leadership. The tabloids flipped the script. Papers that used to soft-pedal Harry were calling Charles the Iron King. Why the sudden support? Because the royal family finally said enough is enough. People have been saying for years that the royals were too weak to fight back. That's over. With Harry out and Andrew in the crosshairs, the firm is flexing its muscles again. The public is sick of the drama, so they're loving this new tough stance. While everyone watches Harry flee Montecito, a darker storm is brewing back in London. Prince Andrew is next. The royal machine has taken the gloves off, and tradition won't save him this time. Taking out Harry was just the start. Now, they're cleaning house, a move they've planned for years but were too afraid to execute. Until now. Behind the palace gates, staffers have dubbed this new offensive the Windsor Reset. It's built on a cold, tactical philosophy. If you want the title, you have to do the work. You don't live here if you aren't here. And you get no perks without loyalty. Essentially, this policy targets two-born princes who have lost their right to the crown's prestige. Sources have been whispering for a while that Prince Andrew's grip on the Royal Lodge, that massive 30-room mansion in Windsor, was turning into a poison pill for the family. As long as his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, was alive, he was bulletproof. But the moment she died, his shield evaporated. Quietly, though, a master plan was already coming together in the shadows. High-level insiders at the Crown Estate say Princess Anne held 2 hush-hush sit-downs with the Duchy of Lancaster's legal team back in January 2026. The main topic? Triggering Clause 17B from the 1994 lease, which lets them kick a tenant out if they drag the monarchy's name through the mud. Anne operates like a surgeon with the rule book, one staffer claimed. She ignores the politics and sticks to the procedure. After they dealt with Harry, the path was clear to go after Andrew, just as they planned. On February 3rd, after King Charles gave the nod, the Lord Chamberlain looked over the new eviction strategy. By February 6th, the paperwork was ready to start reclaiming the property. At 7:45 in the morning Greenwich Mean Time on February 10th, a confidential packet marked reacquisition. Royal Lodge arrived at Sandringham for the king to sign, containing orders from Anne, backed by William and Catherine. The memo stated clearly that the institution couldn't afford to let sentimentality get in the way of its standards. If they can let Harry go, Andrew is completely out of the running. The legal maneuver they are using is actually quite slick. Instead of dragging him out by decree, the palace plans to leverage ignored lease terms, overdue repair bills, and targeted media leaks to get him out without looking like the bad guys. So why did Harry get the axe first? It comes down to optics. As a combat vet and former fan favorite, he still had some supporters left, especially with the younger crowd in the UK and the US. Because of that, they couldn't just look vengeful, it had to look fair. Meghan's constant drama, plus the money mess at Riven Rock, made selling that narrative a lot simpler. Giving him 72 hours, along with leaking the $4.2 million hidden debt, stopped people from seeing him as a victim and showed a guy who traded his birthright for a house loan. Once that story stuck, kicking out Andrew, who has been drowning in bad press since 2019, was an easy sell for the firm. It isn't just about when it happened. It is about how they told the story. While Charles cleans house, the people have already moved their hearts to his heirs. William and Catherine are crushing it in the polls right now. A YouGov survey from February 10th indicates 81% of the country views them as the only way forward for the monarchy. Catherine's popularity with women aged 25 to 45 has skyrocketed to 89% after she quietly secured the family fortune against outsiders. It is not just for show, either. She is running the Royal Discretionary Fund Oversight Committee now, which basically makes her the guardian of the Treasury. She spearheaded the new financial barrier that blocks Harry, Meghan, and their kids from touching a dime unless they move back to Britain for good. It wasn't about being mean. It was about damage control. Catherine pulled a move nobody saw coming. As one Treasury insider put it, she transformed elegance into executive power. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle's last hope, her Hollywood connections, has completely fallen apart. On February 9th, the Clooney's Amal Foundation officially scrubbed Meghan's name from their list of donor partners. Earlier that day, Tyler Perry's security detail confirmed they were cutting ties with the Sussexes, blaming the couple's unstable public image. Netflix and Spotify, who were already pulling back, are rumored to be drafting a mutual breakup letter that would kill off any future projects with the pair. Reports from inside Meghan's Montecito headquarters paint a pretty grim picture. One consultant, speaking off the record, said, "She figured having the titles bought her some runway. She didn't get that the titles were the clock itself." Time's up. Now, both Harry and Andrew are staring down a deadline the palace won't budge on. That date is March 31st, 2026. If Harry doesn't move home or stop cashing in on his name by then, he gets erased from the official family tree. For Andrew, if he doesn't leave the lodge, they will seize it under Clause 17B and strip his perks, including his bodyguards and legal protection. Basically, get on board or get wiped out. It comes down to two princes, two messes, and one ruthless machine. King Charles has launched his biggest play yet, but the real story is in the details, triggering the mental breakdown happening over in Montecito. It is about how Princess Anne is quietly managing these legal evictions and the heavy meaning behind the March 31st cutoff, a date that brings to mind the abdication crisis of 1936. The pieces are in place. The monarchy isn't on defense anymore, it's on offense. From the street, the Sussex mansion in Montecito still looks impenetrable. High shrubs, security gates, and big yards hide the sheer terror going on behind closed doors. But insiders claim the situation inside isn't a calculated plan anymore, it is a total meltdown. Harry has supposedly shut down, staying quiet for hours and just walking the same trail in the garden over and over. Meghan, on the other hand, is in panic mode, glued to her phone and taking call after call with the few staff members she has left. A palace source who saw reports sent to Sandringham through back channels summed up the vibe at their house in one word: unstable. This goes way beyond moving trucks or settling a bill. Their entire sense of self is crumbling while the clock winds down. And it is not just royal rules pressuring them now, it is immigration officers and breach of contract lawsuits too. Several people spotted Prince Harry by himself down at Butterfly Beach really early in the morning on February 10th and again on the 11th. One runner said he was just sitting on a log, staring out at the water. No bodyguards anywhere. He just stood there staring out at the water, barely moving a muscle for almost an hour. Onlookers claimed he was keeping to himself, only speaking to the staff when absolutely necessary. One insider described it as him mentally checking out. He knows exactly what's going down, but he refuses to take the wheel. That kind of psychological retreat is a stark difference from the hyperactive state Meghan is currently in. People in their inner circle say she's still hustling, clinging to the fantasy that a last-minute documentary deal, a surprise sponsor, or a bombshell interview could salvage their future. But sources inside the palace claim the word from London is crystal clear: no extensions, no special treatment, and no meetings. The brutal reality behind this collapse is simple. The Sussex brand relied on two gambles. First, that they could keep using their royal status through back channels. Second, that the public would stick by them through the drama. Both bets have failed. Without the Montecito estate, they lose their prestigious home base. Without official titles, they have zero claim to diplomatic immunity or government protection. And without the public on their side, Hollywood doesn't see them as a safe investment anymore. A leaked risk assessment from a top Los Angeles firm summed it up bluntly. Sussex isn't a brand anymore, it's a liability. The commercial viability is high risk. They've lost control of the narrative, and big business is walking away. Netflix has put their second round of projects on hold indefinitely, and Spotify scrubbed archetypes from its promoted lists. Endeavor reportedly turned down Meghan's pitch to revive her solo podcast. While she scrambles and Harry withdraws, Princess Anne has quietly taken charge of this royal restructuring. Working from her Gatcombe Park estate, Anne has been leading top-secret legal meetings with the Crown's lawyers, real estate agents, and logistics teams. Her mission? Prepare for the next round of evictions. The top priority is the transition plan for Royal Lodge. Under this new directive, the Crown wants to turn Royal Lodge into rotating housing for military guests and state functions, fitting perfectly with the King's plan to repurpose public assets. According to insiders, Anne's internal memo is cutting. There is no future where Royal Lodge stays a private hideout for disgrace. Anne has also kicked off a review of every extended family member currently getting money or logistical help. Some insiders call it the quiet pruning. The March 31st deadline isn't random. It's the exact date the default clause kicks in on their estate loan. It also lines up with the UK Royal Financial Calendar resetting for the second quarter payouts. Plus, the updated legal provisions from the late Queen's transition protocols go into full effect then. Simply put, anyone who isn't falling in line with the monarchy's rules on residency and conduct by March 31st is getting erased from the institution. For Harry and Andrew, that means zero role, zero access, and zero official mention in the Crown records. Palace aides are calling this the silent deletion. It's not a public scandal or a big ceremony, just a quiet removal, like being ghosted by the monarchy itself. Meanwhile, back in the States, the Sussex drama has caught the eye of U.S. immigration officials. Harry's one visa, which is for people with extraordinary ability, is reportedly being looked at internally. Two things are under the microscope: his past drug use, which he admitted to in Time's Spare asterisk, and his changing reason for staying, since he doesn't have a steady base of operations anymore. An official from Homeland Security anonymously confirmed, the second your residency falls apart and your business deals dry up, that visa is in trouble. If the visa gets revoked, Harry could face deportation or be forced to apply again as a spouse under Meghan's status, which would be a huge headache. For the palace, this isn't their doing, but it plays right into their hands. Let reality handle the punishment. Let the monarchy stay quiet. The genius of this strategy is that it's not about fighting, it's about momentum. Charles, William, and Anne aren't attacking Harry or Andrew head-on. They're just letting the legal, financial, and constitutional systems tighten the screws until everything collapses under its own weight. As one royal advisor put it, this isn't revenge, it's a correction. They're done pretending this is a family spat, it's a business decision. Back in Montecito, the house is practically empty. The furniture is gone from the main rooms, and the staff has been let go in waves. Paparazzi drones are buzzing overhead, but nobody has said a word officially. A staff member who left last night said the phones are dead silent, the inboxes are full, and nobody in London is picking up. Reportedly, Harry still refuses to talk to his father directly. Meghan allegedly tried to reach out to Princess Beatrice and Sarah Ferguson for support, but both shut her down. The walls are closing in fast. 48 days until the names are wiped, the legal status changes, and the House of Windsor redraws the family lines. The big question is whether Harry will finally react, or if he'll let history repeat itself and become the second Duke of Windsor to live in exile, rather than a modern rebel. It used to be unimaginable that two of Queen Elizabeth II's sons could lose their relevance at the same time, one by choice, the other frozen out. Yet today, insiders confirm the British monarchy is running a controlled, full-scale institutional purge, something we haven't seen since the abdication crisis of 1936. This isn't an accident. It's by design. What looks like a sudden crash to the public, Harry's midnight exit, Andrew's looming eviction, Hollywood turning its back, is actually the finale of an 18-month campaign to fix the narrative, contain the damage, and save the reputation of the Crown. Right in the middle of this storm sits a surprising team: King Charles III, Princess Anne, and the future monarchs, William and Catherine, During a hush-hush strategy meeting at Windsor on October 18, 2025, the Big Four allegedly shook hands on a secret deal that would steer the family through 2026. Insiders call it the Windsor Doctrine, and the rule was stark. We are done protecting the brand by hiding our people. Now we protect the brand by disciplining them. That moment marked the death of Queen Elizabeth's strategy of just keeping a lid on things. Replacing it is a sharp, lawyer-backed machine ready to cut ties publicly without saying sorry. From then on, Harry and Andrew lost their shield. They became just numbers in a bigger calculation. Choosing February 2026 wasn't an accident. Palace insiders say 5 different triggers hit at once, opening the perfect window to strike. First, the money ran out. The $4.2 million bridge loan on Riven Rock was due April 1st, giving the palace a clear look at just how broke the Sussexes might be. Then the mood shifted. Press in both the UK and the US had turned on Harry and Meghan, meaning the public wouldn't freak out if they lost their titles. Andrew digging his heels in helped too. His refusal in October 2025 to start leaving the Royal Lodge gave Charles and Anne the excuse they needed to drop the hammer. Catherine played defense. Signing a legal amendment in January 2026 effectively walled off the family fortune from anyone not living in the UK. Then came the visa trouble. In late January, the embassy got a heads up about a review of Prince Harry's visa, giving the palace huge leverage from the outside. What makes this huge is that the monarchy isn't just taking away awards, they are engineering silence. Instead of putting out angry statements about the Sussexes or Andrew, the firm has just gone quiet. They scrubbed Harry's charity work from the official sites and forwarded all questions about the Royal Lodge to the billing department. Communications from Kensington and Clarence House to anyone on Team Sussex or York have been totally cut. One legal expert calls it institutional suffocation. They aren't attacking, they're unplugging the machine. Legally, the Crown isn't breaking any deals, but they refuse to pay for, protect, or validate them anymore. A money guy at the Treasury confirmed that all extra cash for the old offices was cut off on January 31st, 2026. Andrew's private security money stopped on February 6th. Keypad codes for royal homes were turned off for both men. On February 10th, Anne reportedly froze any trust fund transfers to Harry's kids, Archie and Lilibet, until they can prove they live in the UK. This isn't punishment, Anne allegedly told the private counsel. This is just order. While Charles gives the commands, William and Catherine are the ones selling the story. They haven't done interviews, haven't yelled, and haven't tweeted. Yet every newspaper, poll, and op-ed now paints them as the perfect face of the modern crown. And that is no accident. Catherine has been quietly meeting with top bosses at the BBC and ITV since January to rebuild the family's reputation around stability and service. William silently stepped into the military roles Harry used to hold, locking in his image as both the heir and the soldier. The couple supposedly filmed a video set to air in April, timing it with their promotion to co-executives under a new Regency Light setup. This is the future. It's not a scandal or an exile, it's an evolution of the business. Desperate to get back in the game, Meghan is reaching for the nuclear option, a streaming docuseries tentatively called The Exit Blueprint. It tracks their final months in Montecito, covering Harry's broken relationship with Charles and the supposed cash freeze. Sources say this project tripped a wire in the legal charter, the commercial forfeiture clause, which allows them to strip titles if private family chats are sold for profit. If that show drops before March 31st, the Crown could launch an immediate counterattack. But more importantly, it could slam the door shut on Harry or his kids ever coming back. If they don't reply or comply, their HRH titles get wiped from the books, and Archie and Lilibet's status gets suspended until further notice. As for Andrew, if he doesn't leave voluntarily, the estate will auction off the lease on his home to charities focused on national defense. As for roles, William and Catherine are set to officially take over deputy duties in mid-April, becoming the active face of the monarchy, while Charles handles the constitutional duties. The message is loud and clear. The crown survives not because it bends, but because it knows when to cut. This isn't the end of royalty. It's a rearming. It's not a house falling down. It's a fortress reinforcing its walls. As the British monarchy pulls off its biggest restructure in decades, the shockwaves are hitting diplomats and politicians worldwide. What started as cleaning house with two wayward royals has turned into a global test of the monarchy's power. Hours after the February 10th order from Buckingham Palace, allies in the Commonwealth got classified briefings. Canada, Australia, and New Zealand were told that changes to royal rank, security, and succession papers were being finalized by March 31st. In Ottawa, officials confirmed that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle would lose their diplomatic VIP status for Crown events starting April 1st. In Canberra, the debate is heating up over whether to write strict residency rules into law for any future royal visits, specifically targeting non-working members. While these adjustments might look like simple paperwork, they actually represent a massive pivot. The palace is making it crystal clear that only working royals will have any global standing. Down in D.C., chatter regarding Prince Harry's one visa is heating up fast. Homeland Security is teaming up with the IRS and the State Department to scrutinize Harry's cash flow, sponsors, and where he actually lives. Major red flags include fudging future earnings linked to the royal brand, leveraging diplomatic perks for private security deals, and not having a legit home base after leaving Riven Rock. One State Department insider didn't mince words about the situation. If he isn't a prince and doesn't have a job, his right to stay here evaporates pretty quickly. Back in the UK, this cleanup has surprisingly restored faith in the monarchy's ethics. A fresh Ipsos Mori poll from February 13th shows 77% of people see Prince William as the ethical heart of the institution. Charles's numbers have jumped 11 points, while the phrase "necessary firmness" is trending all over British social media. Even anti-royalists in Parliament are holding their fire, admitting the firm is finally taking out the trash. Royal aides say this is no accident. One staffer noted that William's silence is his best offense. While others create noise, he represents stability. On the down low, Meghan Markle is testing the waters for a move into American political advocacy. Leaked emails show her crew contacting progressive PACs and women's groups about post-royal campaigns, but insiders warn it looks risky. A CNN analyst pointed out that ditching the crown for politics could blow up in her face, especially if she loses her titles halfway through the run. With the March 31st deadline closing in, Meghan is under the microscope like never before. Trying to reinvent herself while hanging on to the Duchess tag could spark an immediate removal order from the UK Privy Council. 45 days left. 2 guys, 1 throne. The world is watching as Harry and Andrew face deletion not from history, but from influence and protection. As the age of royal excess ends, the crown's endgame has quietly begun. Inside the golden gates of Windsor and the shut doors of Montecito, 2 paths are set in stone, and there is no turning back. Prince Harry, once a global darling, is now teetering on the edge of total irrelevance. His last chance to provide a valid UK address and stop selling his titles ends at midnight on March 31st, 2026. If he fails, the record books get updated. His HRH status and the perks for Archie and Lilibet will be officially frozen. Sources in Montecito claim Harry has stopped answering calls entirely. Meanwhile, Meghan is reportedly looking at deals for a desperation docuseries, which could trigger immediate expulsion under the commercial penalty clause. Over at Royal Lodge, Prince Andrew is digging his heels in, but Anne has already mailed the final warning. If he isn't out by April 15th, Crown agents will seize the property using Clause 17-B. No pomp, no appeals, no do-overs. The monarchy isn't just defending its structure, it's rewriting the rulebook. A family famous for secrecy has drawn a hard line. You can't be royal without doing the work. Charles picked discipline over feelings. William picked quiet over drama. And Catherine, with cool determination, has become the ultimate gatekeeper between perks and duty. We are in the final chapter. The names might stick around, but the access, the pull, and the history? That cord has already been cut. As the palace looks to the future, one truth rings out in the halls of power. You only matter as long as the crown decides you do.